Let me tell y'all something right now. When a woman becomes a grandmother, that kind of love hit different. It's soft, deep, and protective all at once. You do anything for that child, even if you had to fight the whole world to see him. My name's Mae Carter, but folks around here just call me Miss Mae. I live down in Savannah, Georgia, in a little brick house my late husband Henry built with his own two hands. It's got a porch big enough for rocking chairs, gossip, and sweet tea, the three pillars of Southern peace. But that peace, it didn't last long, because my son Marcus went and married that girl Tiffany, and baby, that woman was trouble wrapped in perfume and fake smiles. When they first started dating, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. She was polite, called me ma'am, even brought over sweet potato pie once, though it tasted suspiciously like store-bought. But see, I've lived long enough to know that sometimes people act sweet only when they want something. And Tiffany, she wanted control. Now Marcus, Lord bless him, he's a good man, works hard, soft-spoken, got his daddy's eyes and my heart. But he always tried too hard to please folks, especially Tiffany. She had a way of making him feel like he was always one mistake away from losing her. When they had their baby boy, Elijah, my heart near burst with joy. The first time I held him, that tiny bundle looked up at me like he knew my soul already. His little hand wrapped around my finger, and I whispered, "Don't you worry, sugar. Grandma Mae gon' always be here." But that promise, it got tested real fast. The first sign something was off came 3 months later. I called Marcus one afternoon, hoping to swing by with some baby clothes I bought. But Tiffany picked up the phone instead. "Mae, now ain't a good time," she said, her voice sugar sweet but sharp underneath. "Elijah's sleeping and Marcus is working. Maybe next week." Next week turned into next month, and next month turned into silence. Every time I tried to visit, she had an excuse. The baby's sick, we're out of town, he's napping, always something. At first, I thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe new moms just need space. But then I saw the photos. My neighbor Claudia came running over one morning with her phone in hand. "Girl, look at this," she said, showing me a Facebook post from Tiffany. There she was, smiling with Elijah on her lap, and the caption said, "Family time, just me, Marcus, and our little prince." My heart dropped, because it wasn't the picture that hurt. It was the comments. People were saying, "Oh, he looks just like you, Tiffany." And she was replying, "I know, right? He's my twin." Not one mention of me, not one word about Grandma Mae. That's when I knew that woman was trying to erase me from my own bloodline. Now, baby, I ain't the type to go throwing punches or cussing folks out on social media. I handle things the old-fashioned way, with class and a little strategy. So I started watching, listening, waiting. I'd see Marcus driving home from work sometimes, tired but smiling. I'd wave from the porch, and he'd wave back, quick, like he didn't want nobody seeing. That's when I realized Tiffany had him scared to even talk to me. One Sunday, I decided enough was enough. I baked my famous peach cobbler, dressed in my Sunday best, and drove right over to their house unannounced. When Tiffany opened the door, she froze. "Mae," she said, eyes wide, What are you doing here?" "I came to see my grandson," I said calmly, holding up the cobbler, "and to bring y'all a little sweetness." She smiled, that fake tight-lipped kind. "Elijah's sleeping." "That's all right," I said, stepping right past her into the house. "I'll wait." She didn't like that one bit, but I sat myself down, looked round the room, and what I saw made my heart ache. Photos of Marcus and Tiffany everywhere, but not one with me or Henry, not one with the family name, the Carters. I asked to hold Elijah when he woke up, and Tiffany hesitated. Marcus looked torn, but finally handed him over. The second that baby hit my arms, I felt it, that same spark from the hospital. Elijah looked up, and I swear he smiled. "Hey there, little man," I whispered. "Grandma Mae's here." Tiffany crossed her arms. "He doesn't know who you are," she said, smirking. I looked right back at her. Oh, he know love when he feels it. That visit didn't last long. I could feel the tension hanging thick like humid air. A week later, Marcus called. "Ma," he said quietly, "maybe give us some space for a while. Tiffany thinks it's confusing, Elijah." "Confusing," I said, heat rising in my chest. "Baby, that's my grandson. Ain't nothing confusing about love." But he didn't argue, just sighed. "Please, Ma, for me." When that call ended, I sat there in the quiet of my kitchen looking at the baby blanket I crocheted, the one they never came to pick up. Tears slid down my face, but right under that pain was fire. Because when someone tries to take your grandchild's love away, they don't just mess with your heart, they mess with your legacy. And if Tiffany thought I was going to sit quiet while she erased me, oh honey, she had another thing coming. The real break came 2 months later. I was grocery shopping when I ran into one of Marcus's co-workers. "Hey, Miss Carter," he said, "your grandson's getting big. Saw them at the company picnic last weekend." I froze. "Picnic?" He nodded. "Yeah, Marcus had Elijah there. Tiffany told everyone her mom was watching the baby most days now." That did it. Tiffany's mama. That woman barely knew how to hold a bottle, let alone raise a baby, and she was the one spending all the time with my grandbaby while I sat at home alone. No, ma'am. That night, I sat down with my old friend Claudia and poured it all out. She listened, then leaned in close and said, "You gonna let that girl rewrite your story, Mae? Or you gonna remind her who you are?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Oh, she about to find out." See, sometimes revenge ain't about yelling or fighting. It's about truth. Real, undeniable truth. And I was about to serve it, right where everyone could see it. Because family ain't something you can hide behind locked doors. And no matter how hard Tiffany tried to keep me out, she was about to learn the hard way that you can't bury love. Not a grandmother's love, not mine. You ever been so angry, so heartbroken that your hands start shaking before your mouth even opens? That was me the next morning. Sun hadn't even climbed over the magnolia trees yet, but I was already sitting on my porch with my coffee, trying to make sense of what my own son had done. Derek, my baby boy. The same boy I carried on my hip till my back started complaining. The same boy who used to cry if I wasn't the one to tuck him in at night. Now that same boy was keeping my grandbaby away from me like I was some stranger off the street. Child, I sat there rocking slow in that old porch chair, staring at the mist hanging over the yard, thinking how folks change when they get a little money, a big job, and a woman whispering in their ear. And that woman? Don't even get me started on Candace. Candace thought she was some kind of queen, strutting around like she built the house herself. I ain't never had a problem with confidence, but what I do got a problem with is disrespect, and that woman had it written all over her face. She'd been looking at me sideways since the day Derek brought her over for Sunday dinner. Wouldn't eat my food, said it was too greasy. Wouldn't join the family prayer, said she don't do that kind of thing. And every time I tried to talk to her, she'd smile that fake little smile like she was thinking, "Bless your heart, old woman." But I bit my tongue for my son. When Derek called that morning, I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd come to his senses. He started soft. Mama, good morning. Morning, I said, not giving him no extra sugar. How's my grandson? Silence. Long, thick, awkward silence. Then he cleared his throat. He's fine, but Candace thinks maybe it's better if we wait a little before you visit again. Wait, I said slow, letting that one word hang like thunder. Wait for what, baby? The boy is already here. Ain't like I'm trying to show up at the delivery room uninvited. Now that word, that tone, I could feel my heart slam against my ribs. You listen here, Derek Jamal Lewis, I said, my voice low but steady. I've been through too much, raised too many, and buried enough loved ones to know when I'm being pushed out. You tell that woman I'm your mama, and if she got a problem with that, she can call me herself. He didn't say nothing, just a long breath, then click, hung up. Lord, give me strength. I sat there on that porch, tears burning my eyes, not 'cause I was weak, because I was mad. The kind of mad that sits in your chest like a storm, brewing, waiting to strike. For the next few weeks, I tried to be patient. Sent little gifts, blankets, toys, diapers. Never got no thank you, no picture, no call, not a peep. Then one afternoon, my neighbor Sherry came knocking. Sherry's the kind who know everybody's business before they even know it themselves. May, she said, peeking through the screen door. You seen the baby yet? No, ma'am, I said, my voice tight. Why? She pursed her lips, holding back a smirk. Well, I saw Candace posting pictures on Facebook. Baby shower, new nursery, family brunch, all kind of stuff. But you ain't in none of them, girl. I felt my stomach twist. You sure? Sherry nodded slow. Oh, I'm sure. And folks been talking too. Heard Candace told people you were, how'd she put it? Too old-fashioned and controlling to be around the baby. That was it. That was the moment the last bit of patience I had just snapped. I ain't no fool, and I sure ain't the type to sit around letting folks rewrite the story of my own family. If Candace wanted to play games, she picked the wrong grandma to mess with. So I came up with the plan. See, Candace and Derek were having a family gathering that next Sunday. House full of friends, co-workers, church folks, everybody they trying so hard to impress. And I said to myself, if they want to hide my grandbaby, then I'm going to show the whole world what kind of family they really are. I baked my best peach cobbler, put on my Sunday hat, the white one with the feathers, and drove right up to that fancy house like I was invited. When I got there, folks was mingling on the lawn, music playing, people laughing. Derek was by the grill looking nervous the moment he saw me pull up. Mama, he said, whispering like he didn't want to draw attention, you shouldn't be here. Boy, hush, I said, lifting that cobbler dish like a trophy. You acting like I came to rob the place. I came to see my family. Candace appeared at the door, eyes wide and jaw tight. May, you shouldn't be here. I smiled sweetly. Oh, I heard y'all were having a little get-together. I just thought I'd drop by and bring a little something for my grandson. Her lips twitched. He's asleep. Well then, I said, stepping inside, I'll just wait till he wakes up. The whole room went quiet. You could feel the tension hanging in the air like heavy perfume. Candace tried to steer me toward the door, but I wasn't moving, not this time. I set that cobbler down right in the middle of the table and folded my arms. Now, Candace, I don't know what kind of stories you've been telling folks about me, but I'm here to clear the air. She looked around nervously. May, not now. Oh, now's perfect, I cut her off. Since everybody's here, maybe we can all hear the truth together. Her face turned red as a summer tomato. Derek looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. But I didn't care. That day, I wasn't just speaking as a mama. I was speaking as a grandmother, a woman who had earned her place in that baby's life. And as I looked around that room full of whispers and wide eyes, I knew one thing for sure. The lies they'd built were about to come crashing down right in front of everyone. You ever walk into a room and feel the air get thick, like you just dragged a storm cloud in with you? That's what it felt like that Sunday in Derek and Candace's living room. Music stopped, chatter froze, and every head turned my way. I could feel eyes on me, some curious, some scared, and a few that looked mighty entertained. Now, I wasn't there to start no fight, but I was there to finish one that had been brewing ever since they decided to keep my grandbaby a secret. I folded my hands, lifted my chin, and smiled like a woman who had all the time in the world. Well, I said sweetly, since we all gathered here with our lemonade and ribs, I reckon it's a fine time to talk about what's really been going on in this family. Candace's face went stiff. She tried to laugh it off, nervously brushing her hair back. May, I really don't think this is the place. Oh, it's exactly the place, I said, my voice steady but low enough for people to lean in, 'cause y'all sure didn't mind telling your version of the story in public, did you? A little murmur ran through the crowd. Someone whispered, "What's she talking about?" I caught Derek's eye. "You gonna tell him, baby, or should I?" He looked down, ashamed. My poor boy, caught between the woman who raised him and the one who married him. But that's what happens when you let lies grow roots. They start tripping everybody up. Candace crossed her arms. "May, you're making a scene. This is our home, and I won't have you embarrassing us in front of people." I laughed softly, that low auntie chuckle that says, "Oh, baby, you don't know who you dealing with." "Sweetheart, I don't need to embarrass you. You've been doing a fine job of that yourself." Then I turned to the guest, most of them standing now, trying not to stare too hard. "See, folks," I said, "a few weeks ago, this woman right here decided I wasn't fit to see my own grandson. Told people I was too controlling, too old-fashioned, and even toxic to be around that baby." A few gasps rippled through the room. Candace's eyes went wide. "That's not what I said." "Oh, but it's what you meant, sugar," I cut her off. "See, I got neighbors who talk and Facebook posts that don't lie. You painted me like some meddling old witch, when all I ever did was love my son and pray over that child before he was even born." Derek tried to step in. "Mama, please." I held up my hand. "No, baby, you listen, 'cause one day your son's gonna grow up and ask you why his grandma wasn't around, and I want you to have an answer that don't make you ashamed." That quieted the room. Even the kids stopped running around. Then, just as I was speaking, the sweetest sound hit my ears. A soft little baby coo drifting from upstairs. Everybody turned. Candace's face changed from red to pale in a heartbeat. I smiled slow. "Well, I'll be. Sounds like the reason I came is finally awake." Candace stammered, He needs to nap." But I was already heading for the stairs, slow and steady like a queen on a mission. Derek hesitated, then followed behind me. When I reached the nursery door, I stopped. Took a deep breath. My hands trembled just a little as I pushed it open, and there he was. Tiny, precious, wrapped in a blue blanket, looking like an angel God carved himself. Tears filled my eyes before I even realized I was crying. Oh, Lord, you really outdid yourself with this one. I stepped closer, touched his little hand, and when those fingers curled around mine, something deep inside me healed and broke all at once. Derek stood behind me, quiet. Mama, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I turned to him, my voice low. Then why'd you let her do it, baby? You know me. You know I would never hurt that child. I've been nothing but good to both of y'all. He looked down at the floor. Candace said she wanted space, said you'd be overbearing. I shook my head. Overbearing? Baby, I've been carrying this whole family on my back since before you had your first tooth. Ain't nobody ever accused me of being too much love. He didn't say nothing, but I saw it in his eyes. Shame, guilt, and confusion. That's when I knew this wasn't just about Candace's pride. It was about fear. She was scared of losing control, and Derek was scared of standing up to her. I leaned down, kissed that baby's forehead, and whispered, Your grandma loves you, little man. Don't you ever forget that, no matter what stories they tell. Then I turned around, marched right back downstairs, and stood in front of everybody again. Y'all want to know what real family looks like? I said loud enough for the whole room to hear. It ain't money. It ain't fancy houses. It's love, respect, and telling the truth, even when it's messy. Candace's mama spoke up from the corner, her voice tight. May, maybe you should calm down. Oh, no, baby, I said, pointing that same finger I used to use on my Sunday school kids. Don't nobody tell me to calm down when it comes to my blood. I earned my seat at that baby's table, and no one's gonna take it from me. The room went silent again. I could see folks shifting, whispering. Candace looked like she was about to cry, but instead she lifted her chin. You think you can just walk in here and make us look bad? That's not how this works. I tilted my head and smiled. Oh, sweetheart, you already did that all by yourself. Then I picked up my cobbler dish, looked around at the guests and said, Y'all enjoy the party. I got what I came for. And I walked right out that door, head high, heels clicking, not looking back once. But what I didn't know then was that my little standoff that day was about to blow up bigger than I ever imagined. 'Cause the truth don't stay quiet for long. And once it started spreading, everybody in town was gonna hear exactly what Candace had done. And that, my dear, was when the real revenge began. Now, baby, let me tell you something. When you drop truth in a room full of lies, it don't just sit quiet. It spreads fast, like honey spilling down hot cornbread. By Monday morning, the whole town knew what went down at Derek and Candace's fancy little barbecue. Everywhere I went, grocery store, beauty shop, even church, folks had something to say. May, I heard you walked right in and told that girl off in front of everybody. You mean to tell me she really kept that baby from you? I always knew something was off with that one. I didn't say much, just smiled, sipped my sweet tea, and said, The Lord don't like ugly sugar. But inside, my heart was still racing, 'cause while folks were talking, I was still thinking about my grandbaby, those tiny hands, that sleepy smile. I couldn't get 'em out of my head. So that night, I sat at my kitchen table with my planner open and my glasses on like a woman about to run a mission. If they thought I could erase me from my grandbaby's life, they had another thing coming. Now see, I didn't want revenge that came with bitterness. I wanted the kind that came with truth, the kind that shows everybody who you really are without me lifting a single ugly word. So I started talking. But not the kind of talk that stirs trouble. No, ma'am, the kind that clears the air. When Miss Beverly from church asked how the baby was doing, I said plain and simple, I wouldn't know, sweetheart. Candace don't let me see him. Says I'm too old-fashioned. Didn't need to add nothing more. The silence that followed did all the preaching.
By the end of that week, half the women in town had their own stories about Candace. Did you know she told the daycare lady Mae wasn't family? Girl, I heard she said the baby don't need that kind of influence. It was like a wave building up, slow, heavy, and impossible to stop. Meanwhile, Derek called me 3 times that week. Didn't pick up the first 2, but the third time, I did. "Mama," he said, his voice tight, "you need to stop talking to people about us." I sipped my coffee slow. "Baby, I ain't said nothing that ain't true." "Candace says you making us look bad." "Well, if telling the truth makes you look bad, maybe y'all need to fix something, not me." He sighed deep, the kind that sounds like he fighting with himself. I don't want no more drama." I softened a bit. "Baby, I don't either. But I'm tired of being treated like a ghost in my own family. I done earned my love, my place, and my say-so. I ain't asking for no crown, just a chair at the table." He didn't answer. And when he hung up, I knew. This wasn't just about me and Candace anymore. This was about a man caught between loyalty and backbone. So I waited. And Lord, when I tell you patience pays off, believe me. A couple weeks later, Candace's perfect little image started to crack. See, one of her friends, Tanya, bless her gossiping heart, got into an argument with Candace and went running her mouth all over town. Told folks how Candace had been telling lies about me for months. Says she made up stories to keep Derek from bringing the baby over. Even said she claimed I made the house uncomfortable with my old church habits. That's all it took. Suddenly, people started side-eyeing her at brunch. Her book club group stopped inviting her out. Even her job at the bank, folks there started whispering. Now, I ain't saying I enjoyed watching it happen, but let's just say I didn't shed no tears either. Then came the kicker. One Sunday morning, as I was getting ready for service, I got a knock on my door. It was Derek. He looked tired, suit wrinkled, eyes heavy. "Mama, can we talk?" "Of course, baby, come on in." He sat at the table, rubbing his face. "Candace been acting strange, angry all the time. She said people been talking behind her back, blaming you." I raised an eyebrow. I ain't got to say a word when the truth speaks for itself. He nodded slow. "I know. And now she don't even want to leave the house." I leaned forward. "You finally see what happens when folks build a home on lies. It don't stand, baby. It falls." He was quiet for a moment, then whispered, "I just wanted peace, Mama." I touched his hand. "You can't have peace when you let wrong go unchecked. Sooner or later, it knocks on your door." And just like that, it did. 'Cause right as we were talking, his phone buzzed. Candace had posted something online, a long emotional post about toxic in-laws and people who pretend to be family. Only this time, folks didn't buy it. The comments started pouring in. "Mae's the sweetest woman in town. Girl, you need to respect that woman. Some of us would give anything to have a grandma like that." That post backfired faster than a cheap engine. Derek just sat there, watching the screen, looking like a man realizing he married a storm in heels. And me? I just sipped my coffee, smiled, and said, "Baby, truth got a funny way of cleaning house. You just gotta let it do its work." But even I didn't know. The biggest truth was still waiting to come out. Something Candace had been hiding not just from me, but from Derek too. And when that secret finally came to light, Lord have mercy, everything was about to change. Now let me tell y'all something. Peace don't ever come easy when folks been playing games with the truth. And Candace, that woman was about to find out exactly what happens when you build a house made out of lies and pride. See, After her little Facebook meltdown, the whispers around town got louder. Not just gossip this time, no ma'am. It was questions, real questions. Why was Candace always so uptight about the baby? Why she always shut Derek down when he mentioned DNA tests for fun family history? And why, Lord, did she look nervous every time somebody said, that baby don't look nothing like his daddy? Now, I ain't one to stir a pot that's already boiling, but sometimes all it takes is one more spoon to bring the truth to the top. So one Thursday afternoon, while I was folding laundry and minding my business, my phone rang. It was Tanya. You remember Tanya, the one who used to be Candace's best friend till they fell out? Her. She whispered, May, I think you should sit down. My heart skipped. Girl, you better not be playing with me. She said, I ain't playing. You know that baby Candace been hiding from you? Well, Derek might not be the daddy. I froze right there. Laundry fell right out my hands. What did you just say? She lowered her voice like she was afraid the truth might bite her. She said she had a thing with some man she used to work with before her and Derek got serious. When she found out she was pregnant, she told everybody it was Derek's. But she seen pictures, May. That baby looks just like that man. Same eyes, same dimples, same little birthmark. Lord, my knees got weak. Not from shock, but from understanding. Everything started making sense now. Her coldness, her distance, the lies, the fear. That woman wasn't trying to protect that baby from me. She was protecting herself from the truth. I sat there for a long while, staring at the wall, thinking about my son, my sweet, loyal Derek. That boy would have given Candace the moon if she asked for it, and she gave him nothing but betrayal wrapped in a smile. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept spinning. I wanted to run to Derek right then and tell him everything. But my spirit said, no, my D, let the truth walk on its own. Don't rush it. So I prayed hard. I said, Lord, you see everything that's been done in the dark. I don't need revenge. I just need light. Let the light find its way, even if it burns. And baby, by the next week, the light found this way real bright. See, Derek went to the pediatrician with Candace for the baby's checkup. And when the doctor started asking questions about family medical history, Candace froze up. The doctor said, any history of heart issues on the father's side? Candace stammered, I'm not sure. Derek frowned, what you mean you not sure? You know my side. And the doctor, bless his blunt little heart, said, I meant the biological father's side. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. Now, I wasn't there, but you best believe by the time they left that clinic, half the story had reached my front porch already. Candace tried to deny it at first, said the doctor misspoke. But when Derek pressed her at home, she broke down crying, ugly crying, and confessed it all. That baby wasn't his. She'd known since before the wedding, and she'd hid it, hoping nobody would ever find out. Oh, honey, when Derek showed up at my house that night, he looked like he'd aged 10 years in a day. Mama, he said, his voice low and cracked, she lied to me about everything. That boy ain't mine. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to hold him, but I could tell he wasn't ready for that. So I let him talk, let him cry, let him pour every ounce of pain out. When he finally stopped, I said, baby, listen to me. That child might not be your blood, but you've been his father every day since he came into this world. You don't owe her forgiveness, but don't punish that baby for what she did. He nodded, tears falling slow. I know, Mama, but I can't stay with her. I can't live with somebody who looked me in the eye every day and lied. And that was that. 2 days later, Candace packed up and left. Didn't even say goodbye. Moved out of town, left Derek with all the bills and a heart full of shards. Now, here's the twist nobody saw coming. Derek filed for custody. He said, "That boy might not be my blood, but he's still my son." And baby, that's when I knew my child had grown into a man worth his salt. 'Cause true love ain't about DNA. It's about showing up. But Candace, she wasn't about to let go easy.
She started spreading rumors that Derek stole the baby, telling folks lies about me, saying I brainwashed him. The lies were louder now, but so was the truth. Because the whole town already knew who'd been honest all along. And when that custody hearing came, ooh, baby, that courtroom turned into a stage. And I was about to make sure everybody saw what really went down behind them picture-perfect smiles. The morning of the custody hearing, the sky looked heavy, the kind of gray that warns you something big is about to happen. I woke up before the sun, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat by the window with my Bible in my lap. I wasn't praying for revenge anymore. I was praying for truth. Because when the truth walks into a room, baby, it don't need to shout. It just stands there and changes everything. By 9 a.m., that courthouse was buzzing like a beehive. Candace walked in first, all dolled up in a beige suit, crocodile tears ready, clutching some fancy purse like it was her halo. Behind her, her lawyer strutted like he'd already won. Then my son Derek came in, head high, shoulders squared, but you could still see the weight in his eyes. And beside him, me, in my best red cardigan and my pearls. Not to show off, but to remind everybody that dignity ain't something you rent. It's something you own. Now, I wasn't supposed to speak that day, but honey, the Lord had other plans. When Candace took the stand, she put on a whole Broadway performance, talking about how Derek pressured her, how I interfered in their marriage, how we both turned the child against her. She even dabbed her eyes with a tissue every few lines, like she rehearsed it. And you could see some folks in that courtroom starting to believe her until her own mouth betrayed her. The judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Hill," he said, "why did you list the father on the birth certificate if you knew he wasn't biologically related to the child?" And baby, the silence that followed could have frozen time. Candace stuttered, fumbled, tried to dance her way around it, but that truth she'd been running from finally caught up. That's when Derek's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor," he said, "we'd like to submit a statement from the child's pediatrician confirming Mrs. Hill disclosed at her last visit that she was unsure who the biological father was." Gasps, whispers. Candace's face turned ghost white. And then the judge said, calm but cold, "So, Mrs. Hill, you admit you concealed the truth from your husband for years?" She tried to backtrack. "I was scared. I didn't want to lose him." But the judge cut her off. "You didn't lose him, ma'am. You threw him away." Ooh, child, I had to clutch my pearls on that one. Then came the part nobody saw coming. Derek stood up, voice steady, but eyes wet.
"Your Honor, I don't want to punish her. I just want to protect the boy I raised. He may not be my blood, but I love him like he is. That's my son." That courtroom went still. Even the judge's pen stopped moving. Then, like a slow sunrise, I saw understanding wash over the judge's face. He said, "Mr. Hill, your actions show integrity, compassion, and strength. Custody awarded to you." And just like that, it was over. Candace broke down screaming, begging, saying she'd change. But baby, that ship had sailed the day she chose lies over love. After the hearing, folks gathered outside, whispering, just like they did when all this started. Only this time, the whispers weren't about me. They were about her. And when I stepped out of that courthouse, I didn't gloat, didn't smirk, didn't say a word. I just took my grandson's little hand in mine, looked up at the sky, and whispered, "See, Lord, you did it better than I ever could." That night, we all sat around my dinner table. Me, Derek, and that sweet little boy who now called me Grandma without fear. He looked up at me with them big, curious eyes and said, "Grandma Mae, why was everyone clapping for Daddy in that big room today?" I smiled, kissed his forehead, and said, "Because, baby, sometimes telling the truth is the bravest thing a man can do." He grinned, giggled, and went back to playing with his toy cars. And I just sat there, watching him, feeling peace settle over my heart like a soft blanket. For years they tried to keep him from me. But love, real love, don't hide. It finds its way home, no matter how dark the road gets. And as I rocked that child to sleep later that night, I realized revenge ain't always about fighting back. Sometimes it's about outliving the lie.
Hit that follow button, sugar, 'cause Auntie Mae's got more stories that'll make you feel, think, and maybe forgive.